Okay, good afternoon. We'll get started in about 3 after.
All the information. I can't see the Teams invite.
I can send you this. This has got it in there.
Okay, see the one I had.
It might have been the one from the secretary. I noticed hers didn't have the meeting link. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Valerie, just to let you know, you're not muted. Oh, you are now. There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, I noticed.
No worries.
The invite that Melissa sent out didn't have the meeting, like the how to join the meeting. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Rigsby. I work for Endine Shared Services. Also on the call today is Valerie, our CFO, and Linda, our Director of Accounts Payable. As stated on Monday, June 23rd, we'll be going live on a new Xpense application, and all expense reports will be submitted electronically through this application. The exception being purchase order related expenses. There are a lot of people on the call, so we ask that you hold all questions till after the completion of the end user training and demo, at which point we'll open up the call for Q&A. All the training that you see today will be available in the help menu of the application. And also we're recording this training, and you'll be able to view this training again if you want to, also in the help menu of the application in a few days. At this point, I'm going to hand things over to Denise, who will provide the end user training.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am Denise Pitch, Business Operations Manager for Space Systems Division, and I will be reviewing each of the slides in this presentation with you today. As Mike said, we ask that you hold your questions to the end. Next slide. This training is provided to assist Endine employees with creating expense reports in the new expense report module. This includes travel expense reports and monthly corporate credit card reconciliation reports. Slide 3, the URL is listed there for this module, and it can be accessed from anywhere anywhere you have internet connection, including inside. All right. So once you access this link, it's going to take you to the login screen. Your login username is going to be your employee ID. Your initial password is going to be Endine 2023, all caps. And then you're going to click the login button. Please note that you must change your password in the settings menu after your initial login. The next slide shows you how to change your password. You're going to access settings, change password, and then input a new password for future use. On slide 5, we ask that users verify that their email address, manager, and manager's email is correct in the header on the top of this screen. If any of this data is incorrect, please contact your manager who will work with HR to get it corrected. On slide 6, once you log into the application, you're going to be taken to the home dashboard. The dashboard has 2 tabs, one for expense reports and one for links. In the expense report tab, it will list all of your expense reports and the status of each. The links tab will have a list of resources for users, including the per diem GSA websites, a meals and incidental breakdown link, Google Maps, the missing receipt form, and then we are also going to add, I don't see it there, but we're going to add the business meal form for people to be able to use that when they're filing expense reports that include business meals. On slide 7, we're going to talk about creating an expense report. To create a new expense report, you're going to click on the new expense report button, the top left-hand side of the screen. It will take you to this window where you're going to input the header details of your expense report. And then it'll also show you the section below for the lines of the expense report. It's very important that once you enter all the header data for your expense report, that you hit the save button at the bottom. This will ensure that if you exit the module, all your data so far that you've input will be saved. And then you can go back to that expense report for future to add more additional information. So on to slide 9. This is still report header creation. The system will generate an expense report ID automatically. The expense report date will default to today's date, but then you can change it if you need to. You're going to enter your travel authorization or TAR number, and then a detailed purpose of your trip. You should also add your trip start and end dates to the notes field. A tip for everyone is to be able to see all the expense report fields properly, you should click the maximize window in the top right. Then it'll create a scroll bar at the bottom so you can see all the fields in that section. You can save your progress at any time by clicking the save button at the bottom of the page. On to slide 10. Once you've added all your header data, you're going to want to add header documents. You can click the Add Header Documents button. An example of header documents would be your TAR form or perhaps your credit card statement if you're filing a credit card expense report. A tip here is don't add password protected documents. It will lock up the system. So you always want to make sure that your PDFs are not password protected. If it does lock up the system on you, if you attempt it, you'll want to log out and then log back in. To add a file to your header, you want to drag and drop it to the bottom of the box in the lower right of your screen. The file name will then populate in the Add Header Document window, and then you can click Open to attach to the report. On slide 11, you can use the View Header Documents button to view all the files that have been attached. You can also right-click on anything to view, download, or delete. On slide 12, we're going to talk about line items, adding line items to your expense report. So the first thing you want to do is click the button for Add Expense. Once the window pops up, you're going to fill in the expense date, type, description, and notes, if you have it. Notes, that is. The expense report type is a pull-down list. Once you click on that, you can select the appropriate option for that expense. If you add the type of expense to the expense description, i.e. car rental, tolls, parking, it will appear in a table that we'll talk about shortly. On slide 13, the next thing you want to do is select the appropriate paid via, charge tree, and org ID information. These fields are very important because that's what we use in accounting to process all of the expenses on your report. So under paid via, you have 3 options: corporate ghost card, corporate credit card, and out of pocket. If you see in the bottom right of this slide, the corporate ghost card is the ghost card used for airfare, travel agency fees, and hotels booked through Concur or CBT. The corporate credit card is your Truist or Amex corporate credit card. Out of pocket is anything you paid out of your own pocket. When you select the charge tree, you're going to have options for direct, which will create a pull-down menu, and then you would select the appropriate project code for that direct charge. If your trip is going to be indirect or charged to overhead, then you need to select the appropriate org ID only. The org code is specific for each location, and that's all you need for that type of expense. You don't need a project code when you charge to indirect or overhead. On to slide 14. The next section is the charge type. You're going to have either allowable or unallowable expenses. We'll talk about unallowable at the end of this presentation. Most everything that you do will be allowable. The only exception is alcohol, which we'll talk about later. Then you will next enter in the expense amount, and then you're going to want to add a receipt for that expense. You're going to click the add receipt button, very much like you did for the TAR documents in the header. Same concept. You drag and drop to the bottom right and then hit open to attach your receipt. On slide 15, once you have entered all the pertinent data for the expense and added your receipt, you're going to go ahead and click on Save Expense, and it's going to add it to your report. On slide 16, we added a slide here especially for meals per diem, because this system will allow you to record per diem for 2 different locations if your trip begins in one location and ends in another. For example, let's just say I went to Oahu, Hawaii for a meeting, and then I was sent to Maui mid-trip for a different meeting. My first day of per diem will be for Oahu, and then whatever corresponding days I was there. And then the last day of my per diem will be for Maui. So you have a button there to click for the first day or the last day of per diem, and then you can add all your other days in between for each location. Once you do that, then you hit Save Expense. On the next slide, it talks about once you add your expenses, they're going to populate to a table. This is the table I mentioned in a previous slide. If you add that description, once you get to this part of your expense report, you're going to see all the items that you have added thus far to your expense report: lodging, airfare, mileage, etc. Anytime you need to edit or delete an expense, you're just going to right click on it and you'll have an option to either edit or delete. In slide 18, if you would like to access saved reports, you can close the module, come back to it later, but from the expense report tab, you're going to select it, right click it, and then you have an option to view, edit, download report, or download attachments. You can also use the search box to search for an expense report by name. On the next slide, we're going to talk about submitting your report. Once all your expenses have been entered and you've attached all the appropriate receipts, your report is ready to be submitted. So you click on the Submit Expense Report button. On slide 20, we're going to talk about the approval process. Once you submit the report, your report status will change from pending to in approval 1. An email will be sent to your manager stating that the report is ready for review, and you'll receive a courtesy copy as well. An Excel version of the report will also be attached to the email. On slide 21, your report status will change from in approval 1 to fully approved once accounts payable approves. Or you will receive an email if your report is rejected by your manager or accounts payable, and the email will contain a reason for the rejection. You'll then need to go back into that report and edit it and make the appropriate changes to get your report submitted again. On slide 22 is an example of the Excel version of the report, and you will receive an email when your report has been fully approved by accounts payable. As an appendix to this presentation, we've included instructions on converting a file to PDF. The expense application only allows you to attach PDF documents. If you have an image file, a Word document, or any other type of document that you would like to attach, you'll need to convert it to a PDF by following the steps below. If you don't have that option on your machine, then please put in a ticket with IT, and they'll install the free version of Adobe PDF Reader for you. As I mentioned previously, we were going to speak about unallowable expenses. Unallowable expenses are expenses that are reimbursable. They're just not allowable against a project or direct project code. DCAA has questioned expenses recorded on reports for the following reasons. Either the business purpose of the travel was missing or not recorded on the expense report. If you have inadequate documentation like missing receipts or not enough detail, or if you have a meal or business meeting and you don't list the attendees. These are all items that we have been questioned on by DCAA. As I mentioned previously, alcohol is always unallowable and has to be separated, listed separately on your expense report. Also to note, any cost over $75 must always have supporting documentation. Here are some other examples of unallowable expenses. Flowers and donations, gifts, retirement functions, holiday picnic functions, all hands meetings for awards presentations, training and policy procedures are allowable. They're not unallowable. Sorry, I should have broke that up. Awards for safety and employee achievements are allowable, as are company softball or intramural activities. And this concludes the presentation for creating and submitting an expense report. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I don't hear any questions. So Mike, I can pass it back to you. And if you wanted to go over the manager training, I can always stop sharing and turn it over to you.
Okay, so I grabbed sharing. Basically, I'm just going to go over the slide deck. If you're not a manager, you can actually drop off the call if you like. Hold on one second.
I think so. Hey, Mike, I just saw a question come in. Oh, hold on a second. I think that's from Talisha. Yeah, does it give any error codes when submitting? Do you want to explain a little bit more about that, Talisha, what you're asking? Hey, Talisha, can you unmute?
That's why she sent the message. She gave.
Oh, no microphone. Okay.
Okay, so the question is there any bugs or errors that pop up when submitting? Is that what she was asking?
Sounds like she's asking if you make a mistake, will it give you an error message, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so if you don't enter in the required data or put something wrong in one of the fields, like say a character in the amounts field or something, it's gonna give you a message on the screen and not allow you to move forward till you correct it.
Okay, I see there's a question from Brian too. Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, thank you. This is two questions I have. One, for the most part, all my purchases with the government or with the corporate credit card is non-travel related, and I don't make a lot of purchases. So, this might be an easy answer, but if I make no purchases for one per se 1 month, am I still required to report that there was no purchases made? Or is this only when I make a purchase, let's say for postage, for oil samples, some of that stuff that we need here? Is it only then will I be submitting this expense report via this program?
Correct.
So when you get your corporate credit card statement at the end of the month, you need to make sure all those expenses are accounted for on an expense report of some nature through the system.
Yeah, and if you don't have any, Brian, you shouldn't receive a statement, then you don't have to do anything.
Okay, and then
Yeah,
the second,
another tool in the application that's useful for corporate credit card holders is if you go into the reports menu at the top left, you'll be able to run a corporate credit card expense report, which will list what you can do is it'll prompt you for the dates, and you can put your the dates of your credit card statement in there, and it will give you a report of any of the corporate credit card expenses you have entered into the system, so you can see what's missing and what's not lined up to your corporate credit card statement.
okay, thank you. And then the other question is about the manager's briefing that you're about to give. Is this, I'm a manager here, but I don't manage anybody with credit cards. So is this meant for me, or is this meant for like the PM for me, managing me as a credit card holder as well?
It's really meant for managers who will be reviewing expense reports for their employees.
Okay, and I don't believe that I will be doing that unless Dave deems me an alternate or something. But I don't know. I don't know if that is his decision or not.
Okay, so if you want to drop off, you can. The slides are out there. They got sent to everybody. So if you ever have to approve an expense report for someone, you can look at the slides to get the information on how to approve or reject them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind sitting here either. It doesn't matter to me. I want to make sure that I'm not stepping in any realm that I shouldn't be in.
I think it's okay. The system's not going to allow you to approve expense reports unless an employee under you submits one or something like that.
Okay, I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so this is the manager guide. It's also going to be available in the help menu. And basically, what it says is when you log into the expense application as a manager, you will be taken to the home dashboard, which will list all the expense reports created by you and your employees. So the system has three types of roles: your basic end user, your manager, and our administrators, which is the AP folks. End users only see their expense reports. Managers see their expense reports and their employees' expense reports. When you come in, you can use the search box on the top left corner, and you can search all the expense reports. It'll search all the fields, and it'll return the expense reports that meet that criteria. You can click the maximize button on the top right. That will create a scroll bar at the bottom, so you can scroll right to view the rest of the data on the screen. When you see data in this form, like a table view, see how the data is laid out in the table view? You can double click on a column to sort the data. You can expand the column size, sort of like in Excel, and you can also right click for more options. So if I were to right click on an expense report in this table, I would see the options view expense report, download expense report, download expense reports attachments. If you don't see your employee's expense report, reach out to HR and talk to HR, because you must be assigned their manager in our ERP system, CostPoint. Expense report status. An expense report created by an employee has 4 statuses. So we have pending, expense reports created by a user but not yet submitted. In approval 1 status, these are submitted expense reports awaiting for manager approval. In approval 2, these are submitted expense reports that have been approved by the manager but waiting for AP approval. And then the last status is approved. Fully approved expense reports, and they're ready for AP to process for reimbursement and things like that. In approval 1 status. So as a manager, you really only care about 1 status, in approval 1. In approval 1 means that the system is waiting for you, the manager, to review and approve or reject the expense report submission from your employee. If you see an expense report in Approval 1 status, right-click on it to download the expense report, then right-click to download the attachments. Review the expense report and its attachments. Make sure receipts are included for all line items and expenses. If no receipts, a missing receipt form should have been included by the employee in place of that receipt. As a manager, it's your responsibility to ensure that your employees' expense reports are correct, contains all receipts, and each line item is charging to the right project, if applicable, Oregon account. To approve an expense report, right-click and click View Edit Expense Report. The expense report window will open. Scroll to the bottom and click the Approve button in lime green that is under the Manager Approval section. When you do this, the status will change to Approve. To reject an expense report, follow the previous instructions except when the expense report window is open, click Reject instead of Approve. So when you click Reject, a new window is going to pop up and it's going to allow you to type in a comment or something that will go back in the email that gets sent back to the employee on why you rejected the expense report. So sort of like in a rejection reason or something like that. On behalf of users, if you're out of pocket or on vacation and cannot approve your expense report for one of your employees, you can reach out to the AP group. They can assign an employee you choose to log into the system on your behalf to review the expense reports in your absence. So this example shows here that Melissa Wolf, the administrative assistant for Don and Tim, can log on behalf of them and function the tool as if she were them. So currently, right now, all the PIMS, everybody in PIMS timekeeping that is a backup already can log on behalf of the person they're a backup for. And you'll see that on the login screen when you log into the app. There's an option to log on behalf of another user. Basically, you enter your login information, select on behalf of user, and then enter the employee ID of the person you're going to log into. So work with AP on that. They can manage the users that have that ability. Getting data out of the system. The main exports report dashboard allows you to slice all the data into Excel depending on what you enter in the search box and hit go. So this example, I searched on approved expense reports, and if I were to click the slice button, everything would be exported to Excel. So you can export that data into Excel that you see on the screen. The report menu also contains 4 canned reports that each have the same prompt option. This allows you to export all the different kind of expenses out of the system for your employees and yourself based on what you enter in the prompts. Okay, so that's the manager training. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to actually log on to the system and sort of kind of do a live little demonstration of the system. Because sometimes looking at slides and not seeing the actual system can be a little confusing. Okay, so I'm going to log on to the system. You can see your login down here. I'm logging in as myself. Again, work with AP if you want someone to be able to log on behalf of you, and that's what that option here is for. Okay, so I'm going to come in, and this is the main dashboard that I see. So I see my expense reports that I have created. I can right-click on this. Anywhere you see a table, you can right-click, so I can view, I can download the expense report, I can download all the attachments related to the expense report. So if I view this, you can see this is an expense report that I have created. Here's the header up at the top, and here are the expenses for my expense report line item in this table here below. And just like I said before, anytime you see a table, you can right-click on that table to give you more options. So if I want to actually view this expense, I can hit edit expense and I can view all the line items on this expense. Here I have one attachment, one receipt for this expense. So I can right click here and I can view this document. And you can view it in the screen, or you can right click and you can download it to your computer. I could also delete it, whatever. So as a manager, when it's in, see, this expense report's in pending status, but as a manager, when you see one in approval 1 status, these options down here, the approve and reject, will be available, and you can approve or reject it by clicking on those buttons. Okay, menu up here at the top, help menu. Here's the training we just went over. You guys won't see the admin training based on your permissions. Workflow approval. If you want to know the statuses that I've outlined in the slides, you can click on that. It'll tell you what the different statuses are. Admin menu, you guys won't see that. Settings menu to change your password. And your reports menu to run reports. Again, very important, guys, when you log onto the system for the first time, verify this information up here at the top in yellow is correct. If it's not, it'll create problems when you submit an expense report or something like that, because if your email's wrong, you're not going to get notified. If your manager's wrong, it's not going to go to your manager. So we want to ensure that you guys review this information when you first log into the system and work with HR to get it right if it's not correct. So that's really all I have right now. If there's any other questions, we can end this call, 30 minutes short. Okay, I don't see any questions. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I know new processes and new applications can be a little annoying at first, but this is going to really help out Indyne, which is a growing company, better, streamline these type of processes. So I hope this works out good, and everybody have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.